In the global context, we know that our times are shaped by many megatrends, whether it's globalization, migration, climate change, communication technology, and all that. You know all this. But I think probably one of the most important recent trends that will have an impact on Africa for a while is the rise of protectionism in the West, and particularly in the US. The results of the US elections and the Brexit and all that, and the rise of nationalism, right-wing elements and all this.
In your conversation, you talked about development financing and human capital. Your macroeconomic policies that you're trying to put into place in order to attract FDI, or foreign direct investment. One of the important factors is the policies that will come out of the changes in your macroeconomic policies in order to create initiatives for foreign investment. I'm on the foreign investment side, and that's why I'm addressing this to you. What are your next steps? This is a great meeting. You're discussing governments and transformation. What are your next steps, and how do you expect to quantify the ideas that come out of this conference? How do you expect to create the matrix or the metrics in order to examine the success of this conference?
The developmental process requires continuous learning and reflection. Daily, trying things, if it's not working, seeing how best you can mitigate it. And for a country like yours, I would say, in addition to that, given the market size, you really have to look at the context of regional integration and how best you can situate your country in that wider economic space.
When we talk about natural resource governance, 3.5 billion people live in resource-rich countries. But yet, extraction of this natural resource has led to mostly poor governance structures, with citizens suffering from conflict, from corruption, and you name it.
So I found this interesting quote in a research study that was done by the World Bank, and I want to read it all to you all. And it's a very sad quote, but something that is promising in the sense that if we can reverse what this quote means, we can definitely achieve what we've all kind of set our minds to, which is this mindset of collective economic advantage and economic growth. So the quote goes it's like this: resource-rich countries have, on average, experienced lower rate of economic growth, whereas poor rich resources country experience economic growth. How is that possible?
How we get better value sustainably. We cannot escape from asking, how do we get more than revenue from our minerals? But it also means that we should be asking, which minerals really are worth mining? Because it's a radical agenda that the AMV implicitly and explicitly puts out there. Take gold. I think gold is one of the most useless minerals we should be mining on this continent. Why? Because the only thing we get from it is revenue. 83% of gold which is bought is hoarded. And the negative externalities of gold in terms of displacement, poisoning of the soil and waters is so great that if you do a proper cost-benefit analysis, we should be digging clay for houses instead of digging gold.
I think, let me be just blunt. We need to decolonize the natural resource sector. We still use a colonial model, which will not work. As we decolonize, we need to democratize it. But for us to achieve all these challenges, we need a decisive leadership that will take decisions, as difficult as they might be, and implement them. But for this leadership to do that, they need to have the people behind them. They cannot negotiate in the dark. Their power to negotiate these difficult questions depend on how they have the support of the people.